All right, guys. So the first part of the art of guessing someone out is going to be a monologue. So you're going to have to listen to me. You don't have to watch me. Not that cute. You guys just, put your computer screen the other way and turn it up. So I think from a technical aspect, I don't want to say it's simple, right? I'm going to give you some tactics that I think are going to be effective in helping you be more effective against people out. But I think the strategy or the philosophy, whichever you want to consider it, is probably even more important. So let's kind of go like step by step. And I think in the beginning, there's three important concepts to note when it comes to how to use your cardio effectively. So number one, let's talk about this. How big is your gas tank? Okay, so this could be talked about a few different ways. Number one is, some people are slow twitch, some people are fast twitch, right? And more naturally, slow twitch people like myself are gonna have a larger gas tank, right? I have slow twitch muscle fibers. I'm more able to wrestle hard for longer periods of time versus someone who's super fast twitch, right? The guys who run the best 100-meter dash times aren't the guys who are the best at the 3-mile. There's not a crossover there, right? So it's generally you are one or the other. Now, with the size of your gas tank, can it be increased? Of course it can, right? If I went and sat on the couch for a month versus if I trained hard for a month, which am I going to be better to wrestle harder for? Obviously, if I train, okay? So the size of the gas tank can be improved, and this is something I think wrestling fans kind of miss on, right? Someone who's super fast twitch, really quick guy, they're probably never going to be able to get the size of the gas tank that I have, right? Even if they train at it exclusively, they're still not going to be able to get there, right? That's just not how their body composition is made up. They're made up to be a fast twitch athlete, and they need to kind of wrestle that way, okay? Of course, it's important to note that there may be two fast twitch athletes competing, and if one fast twitch athlete can just wrestle a little harder or deal with the pace better, then he's going to have an effect on the other fast twitch athlete, right? So fast twitch, slow twitch muscle fibers are important to recognize, and they do play a part in how big your gas tank is. Obviously, good training can make a difference. Sleep's a big one. Sleep makes a difference. I think they said something like a bad night of sleep is going to affect your cardio by something like 30%, right? Diet is going to have a huge effect. So there's all these other things, but we go back to slow twitch, fast twitch. Some people are going to have bigger gas tanks, and then you realize I can utilize this in the sport of wrestling. Wrestling's great, right? Because wrestling, you can learn to utilize any type of body, any positives to your benefit if you learn to wrestle that way. So big gas tank, you can train to make it a little bigger, okay? You can, eat, sleep, live a healthy life. It's also gonna make it better, okay? So the second part then of the gas tank is how much of your gas tank can you actually use? And this is one that I don't think a lot of people think about all that often, but it's really, really important. And so, obviously in here at AWA, we coach kids all the way from they're 5 years old until, a lot of times they graduate high school, they leave to go to college, but we're still having a lot of communication with them, and helping them and assisting them in their careers. There's kind of a lot of things like this in life, but the first time you do something, right? And we don't really push kids when they're little, but so we'll say like in middle school, the first time they get really tired, they get to a certain point and they're like, this is all I can go. That's it, right? And then they're done. And so you need to kind of effectively move them beyond that point, right? And so if you think about just in gas tank terms, right? That's what we're talking about. If one person has a 10-gallon gas tank, right? And one person has a 3-gallon gas tank. So one person obviously has more ability to use their cardio, but the 3-gallon gas tank, they're tough. They can use it all, right? And the 10-gallon can only go 25. They're not very tough, right? They kind of cringe at when something gets tough. The 3-gallon gas tank is effectively going to have better cardio despite the fact of having a significantly smaller gas tank because he can use it all, right? So for my experience, the best way to kind of get the kids to do this is build into that as they get older. And sometimes even like while you're grinding them, you can still encourage them, right? So they're getting tired. Then when you see them, they want to kind of quit themselves, and you to say like, you can do this. Let's go. Keep going. You don't do the, you suck. You're so wimpy, right? You encourage them to keep them going. Then, the other thing we found is as kids get older and they decide what they want to be as a really good wrestler, they're also more willing to go through those barriers and wrestle really, really hard. So, what percentage of your gas tank can you actually use? It's a really important one, right? And then to go on top of this is, I actually think in wrestling, this is probably at a high level, significantly overtrained. And I think people are figuring this out. Once I'm a college athlete and I've learned to push myself really far, and I know this of myself, right? If I have a 10-gallon gas tank, I can go all the way. I'm going to go all the way to 10 gallon. I'm just going to keep pushing as long as I can, right? I'm already tough. I already know how to do that. I don't need to do that 3 days a week, right? That's actually kind of where the wrestling people kind of, in my opinion, are like, this is kind of dumb. This is a little bit dumb, right? Like, why are we doing this so many times a week? I already know how to go all the way. I can already push myself all the way. I can already wrestle as hard as I can wrestle. I don't need to push myself to that level 3 days a week. It doesn't make any sense, right? So I actually feel like once you've gotten to a threshold where you can push yourself like all the way, like you can get the most out of yourself, you probably only need to train that once in a while, maybe once a month. Like you give it a really hard push and know that, hey, I still got it. And right, you don't do that often because training skills is going to be way more important, right? The upside of training skills is going to be way more important than the upside of training cardio. Because once you got all the way, that's all you're getting. You can't go anymore. And if we're talking about, in the initial argument, increasing the size of the gas tank, like, man, once you push yourself really hard, you might be getting very incremental gains, 1, 2, 3%, like not a lot. Whereas from a technical standpoint, you're going to be making huge gains. So don't waste your time putting yourself too much into like the cardio only mindset, which is something a lot of people do. Okay. So number 1, how big is your gas tank? Number 2, how much of your gas tank do you actually have the ability to use? Number 3 would be, how efficient is your vehicle? Right? If we're talking about vehicle terms. And so certain people, right, they're kind of more like slower twitch, more diesel engines, right? They're efficient. They're going to be able to burn for a long time. Some people are like Ferraris, right? They're going to burn through a whole bunch of gas really, really fast. This can also be helped or hurt by your style of wrestling. And this will probably be the main part of what I talk about when we talk about like the strategic, tactical part of the cardio portion is how do we most effectively make the most of our cardio and make the least of his. Okay, and so how efficient are we? And that's a really important thing. So how big is your gas tank? How much your gas tank can you use? And how efficient is your vehicle? Okay, so those 3 concepts, we understand those 3. Okay, so now let's go kind of a step further. Wrestling is not a you versus you in your gas tank. Okay, this kind of goes a lot to what number 3 was about efficiency. Wrestling is a you versus them. Okay, and so the way I always like to describe this is and this is kind of something I didn't learn until later in my career. So earlier in my career, I knew cardio was my best weapon, and generally I would start slow, and then I would kind of like ramp up the pace of my attack as the match went on. And so later in my career, I realized, and I was partly forced to do this because freestyle had terrible rules back then. It was 3 2-minute periods, but you had to, if you lost the first 2, so only 4 minutes, then you lost the match, and there was no third period. So I was probably forced to do this. Is if I start fast, right? So in the first period, if I use 30% of my gas tank versus 15 or 20, but if I can be efficient in my motions, I'm going to make them use more, right? So if I'm more efficient, they're going to go down faster than me. So if we go to 70% and they go to 55%, that's a win, right? If I go down to 50 and they go down to 30, that's a win, right? So I am gaining over them, Hopefully that makes sense, right? It's me versus them. It's not me versus me. It's me versus them. So if I'm gaining, right? If my gas tank is draining at a lower level than theirs is, then the differential is going to be greater, and it's going to be advantage me as the match goes on, right? Which also goes to point number 2 of how much of the gas tank can they actually use, right? And there are certain people. You go watch college wrestling. This happens all the time. There are certain people who get in a hard match and they get tired and they say, "That's it." They'll roll over. They will roll over. That's it. I'm done. I'm gonna roll over, right? Because they have reached to the extent of where they think their gas tank goes. Okay, and now in practice they could have, but they probably won't have, or not all people have. And this is not something you can change during a match, right? You have to do some training. But if right, they have a 8-gallon gas tank, but they only go to 4, and then they malfunction past that. If you can push them, they're gonna roll over, right? So wrestling is not you versus you; it's you versus them. And so if you can obviously increase the size of your gas tank, we talked about that. Be able to use a lot of it because you're tough and you can push yourself really far into your own exhaustion, and then become efficient. You're likely to get to a point in a whole bunch of matches, right? And, I got a lot of pins this way, right? 91 career pins, and not all of them, but a decent amount because of this. Because at some point they just get so tired they roll over. You know, the easiest ones to make roll over are the foreigners. I wish I had some of my foreign matches on film, but there was multiple matches in 2007 and 8 where I'd lose the first period, I'd win the second period, and the third period they would literally just fall over. I'm done wrestling, and they'd fall over and get pinned, right? So wrestling is a you versus them, not you versus you versus them. Okay, then we can obviously apply those 3 categories to that, and it all works together. Okay, the next thing to acknowledge, and this is where I said kind of at the beginning, I think there's a lot of people, I am not going to name names, but you guys might be able to guess if you watch enough wrestling, who overemphasize cardio and underemphasize the tactical portion of wrestling. But here's the thing. If I'm scared to attack you because you have certain scrambles, or if I'm scared to attack you because I don't have the right weapons to attack you, then I just can't attack you, right? Then all I can do is push and pull. And the most exhausting part of wrestling is the scramble, right? It's the full, 2 guys are really going back and forth, okay? Right? And that goes back into that efficiency portion, right? We're going to talk about that when we go into the move portion of pulling versus pushing, of not shooting underneath them too much. But the most exhausting thing for someone in sport wrestling is a really hard, fast-paced scramble, right? And that was something in college I would do. Coach Horton, love Coach Horton. Shout out Coach Horton, you're the man. He would literally say, go create a scramble. Because I would go in the beginning of the match, I'd create a scramble. The other person would be only focused on winning the scramble, which obviously, right, that's what they should be doing. But by the time we were done scrambling, they would be so tired they wouldn't even realize it. They'd be like, "Oh," and then I knew that was what was going to happen, right? I knew I was going to feel tired, and I was good at dealing with it. Right? We talked about number 2 is I was able to push myself really far, okay, and so I had a skill set where I could utilize my gas tank, and that was because I created a lot of tactical weapons that I could use. It wasn't really just a simple push-pull wrestler, okay? So if you have great cardio, and don't overvalue cardio because you can only use it if you have the right skills. If you don't have the right skills, all you do is push someone. And then what? Are you willing to shoot on them? Or do you not have the skills to shoot on them? Because if you're not willing to shoot on them, you can only push them so far, right? And we're in 2023. Unless they're maybe some of the foreign, these American dudes, they ain't going to fall over. They're not just going to fall over because they're tired, right? You have to have skills to utilize on them in order to make them fall over. All right, I think at one point, hold on. I've been talking for a while. Oh, yes. And this would kind of go into the last thing I just said. But becoming a dangerous wrestler. And then, I kind of hit on that. But becoming a dangerous wrestler, and this is whether this is freestyle or folk style, right? So in freestyle, it'd be something like having a great head pitch or gut wrench or something where you can score a whole bunch of points. You're never out of matches. right? In folk style, if you can pin them or if you're good on top and you score a whole bunch, you're never out of matches. And so if you have that ability to be really, really, really dangerous as a wrestler and you have great cardio, the other person can never let off guard because they could be winning and then they get tired and then you pin them. I mean, we can name matches, famous matches where this has happened, but that's absolutely the case. But again, it takes not just using your cardio, but using your skill set in order to utilize your cardio, right? So skill set to utilize cardio. If we're only trying to use cardio, it's a really, really limited weapon. We use skill set and cardio. That becomes a really powerful weapon. Okay, so let me just review all the concepts, and then we'll get up and we'll do a little of wrestling. We'll talk about some of the tactics and the things you can use to help yourself. Okay, 3 things on the gas tank. Number 1, how big is your gas tank? Okay, now us slow twitch people, we naturally have bigger gas tanks, but that can still be helped by good training, good diet, good sleep. These type of good lifestyle habits, right? Obviously, can be decreased. You're partying a lot, you're not sleeping, you're eating crappy, you're not training hard. That's going to decrease the size of your gas tank, right? So size of your gas tank. Number 2 would be how much of your gas tank can you actually use, right? And so that would be like how, and young kids aren't very good at this. They have never pushed themselves, so they get to that point and they think, this is all I got. I am done. I cannot go past this point, right? And those savvy veterans, we've pushed ourselves a lot, right? And we realize, okay, I'm really tired. I know what this feels like. I can keep going, okay? So how much of your gas tank are you actually able to use? And this is really important. Continue to push yourself until you're all the way like you're going to fall over dead. Well, don't do that far, okay? And number 3, how efficient are you? So this would be about your wrestling strategy, your tactics, a lot of what we're going to talk about when we get to like the technical portion of it. But how efficient are you using? Are you doing stupid things? Are you going underneath them too much? Or are you creating the scrambles that make them really tired, right? What are you doing from an efficiency standpoint? Which then feeds into point number 4 is not you versus you. It's you versus them, right? If you can make them more tired than you're making yourself, that's going to be a net positive. But if you're doing dumb things like continually shooting underneath them, right, you're going to get more tired than they are. That's a negative, okay? So it's not you versus you, it's you versus them. Then the last point I made here, which is really important, is don't overemphasize cardio. You're going to need to have a great skill set in order to utilize the cardio. If there's things you either can't do or are not willing to do because you don't have the skill set, you're not going to be able to wrestle in all the positions necessary to make the person really tired. And then in cases of comeback, if you're not dangerous and you can't pin them or score a whole bunch of points at one time, you're just out of matches, right? If you're down by 6, well, not college wrestling changed. We're going to see how this affects it, right? College wrestling just went to 3-point takedown. We're talking literally a month ago. High school is still 2-point. But if in high school wrestling, you're down by 6 or 7, you can just go 2s and 1s. That's only a 1, right? You're going to need so many takedowns in order to get back in the match. If you can go a 2 and a 3, bam, you're within 2 points on one move like that, right? Or if you can pin them, now the match is over, you win because they're so tired, right? They talked about all those foreign guys, they just fall over and get pinned. Keegan O'Toole did that. 2021 Junior Worlds. I think he was down 8-3. Decked the guy. They decked the guy in the next round too. Okay? So, understanding this part of the cardio is probably even more important than all the techniques and tactics we're gonna do. So I hope you guys understand this. Maybe watch this 2 or 3 or 4 times and utilize this knowledge in order to make yourself the best cardio wrestler possible. All right. Hopefully you guys aren't too sick of me. I just talked for a whole bunch, but I think literally, if you don't even watch any of this other stuff, if you just understand the concepts that I talked about, it's going to make you so much better at gassing someone out. But let's actually get to the wrestling. Okay, so what makes people tired? We talked about this in the efficiency section. Okay, so let's actually do it. So a big one, probably the biggest one I see, some of the 2 biggest ones, is pushing versus pulling. Okay, a lot of kids when they want to go hard, they're all push, right? They grab it, right, and they do this. And so we think about what's happening here, right? I'm grabbing it and I'm pushing, whether here or the biceps, okay? It's mostly my effort. All he's really doing, he's got to he's probably leaning back against me. He might have to drive a little bit, okay? But right here, and so like I'm doing so much work as I'm driving my opponent. I was in freestyle, maybe a little more effective because we have an edge, okay? But now let's think about the opposite of the push, the pull, okay? So if I pull him, right? Now he's carrying both of our weights, right? So if I can effectively pull someone, it's so much more effective as getting them tired than pushing them, right? Additionally, when I'm pulling them, right, if you think about where he's hinging at his waist, right? So if I'm pulling up here, right, now he's carrying all this weight, and then if his neck is getting tired, right, this happens a lot, is right, he's gonna start raising his head up, and then that's gonna make it easier for me to get to his legs. So biggest mistake you'll make when they're trying to gas him out is too much pushing versus more pulling, okay? And then when you get to that next level where you're really, it's a balance, right? So, right, I'm gonna pull, I'm gonna pull, I'm gonna push, pull, push, right? And I'm keeping off balance with pushing and pulling, okay? But pulling is way, way, way more effective than pushing. And so, especially in the beginning of a match, I might even just get a wrist, right? I might just pull on this, yep, make it, right? I might just pull on this, boom. Sometimes I just get the head like a football tie. Sometimes they don't let you do this anymore. They really should let you do this, right? I just pull on him here, okay? Sometimes 2-on-1, I just pull those, right? I just pull, and I'm just literally making him carry me, okay? And that's so don't forget that pulling is so much more effective than pushing someone. You do want to be able to do both, but if you're trying to get them tired, pulling is way better. Okay, second one, and I might flip, this might be the biggest one. If I go underneath him too much, that's getting me tired. Okay, so we're talking about efficiency. If I'm underneath him, he has like good hips and effective sprawl, I'm gonna be doing like 80% of the work. He's gonna be doing like 20% of the work. Okay? So if I wanna get him tired, I can't keep going underneath him over and over and over again. And so if you're saying, well, I like attacking. Okay, great, it's fine. And maybe you should have to whistle. Maybe he's not very good and you can score him, right? Because once you get a lead, it does all start kind of going downhill in a snowball effect. So maybe you should. But if you shoot on him, he's got good hips, right? I shoot on him, boom, boom, I'm pulling in, I'm working. And I realize, oh man, he's I'm working hard down there. He's probably not working that much, okay? He's definitely working way less than I'm working. Okay, so maybe I wait on the shots. Maybe I don't do the shots until later in the match. You know, whenever I'm at the high school level, you likely have at least 6 minutes in a match, right? So maybe it's that you wait 60 seconds, maybe you wait 90 seconds, something like that, and then you start firing off attacks. I know in freestyle for me, right, six minute match, it was always about like a 2 minute. I'm gonna do like a 2 minute hand fight, pushing, pulling, trying to get him tired, trying to make him a little slower. Right, we talked in the monologue about us versus wrestling's not us versus us, it's us versus them. Right? So if I can get him more tired, he's gonna slow down, and then the shots are gonna come easier. Right? Because the thing that is the most taxing is the scramble. But if I'm just stuck underneath him, that's not a scramble, guys. It's not a scramble at all. That's him having his weight on me, making me do all the work. That's not good, right? So two biggest flaws here. You know, too much pushing, not enough pulling. Okay, we need more pulling. It's going to wear on the neck, the back. It's going to make him come out of position. It's going to be really effective as the match goes on. If we're talking about gassing someone out, that's really what we're talking about is we're trying to be more effective as matches go on. Okay, and then number two would be shooting too much too early. Okay, that's going to, honestly, if he's got really good hips, it's kind of a little bit of a break for him. Like, I don't know if you guys are good at sprawling, but you can kind of like relax, float, be patient, not spend a ton of energy. Okay, so if we can't create those scrambles, if he can sprawl us, then he's not using a lot of energy. So pull more, don't shoot quite as often. Okay, two biggest mistakes we're making. Now let's move to the next thing. And generally, not always. We talked about this in the monologue. Not always. If I am trying to gas him out, okay, I'm likely to be a little bit of slow twitch. Right, we talked about maybe there's other places other people can use it, but in the general sense, I'm a little slower twitch. It's all about getting past this gap, right? The most dangerous part for me, the part I struggled most was going here, shake hands, wrestle, and then getting my hands on him. That's when he's the most effective versus me. Once I get my hands on him, now he's way, way, way less effective, okay? So I have guys do a whole bunch of drills here to kind of negate this or learn this. We'll talk about kind of, the first one will be foot movement and motion. Let's do it without you, Pat, without a partner, is if I want to move effectively forward and back, it's when I move forward, my front foot moves first, like this. And when I move backward, my back foot moves first, right? So obviously I don't want to do this. I would never want to get my feet closer together. Terrible idea, right? And I would definitely never want to do this, okay? So it's like boom, stalking, boom, moving back. This is shout out Noel of 80. No, I made you do this so many freaking times. You probably hated me for it, but it worked, okay? Got you where you needed to go. Right here, move forward, move back. If they really need help, I might just literally make them go back and forth till they figure this thing out, right? Okay? So now, come back in here and Pat. So Pat might just go backwards, and I'm just gonna stalk him like this, and then at some point he's gonna fire, right? Oh, sorry. Fire a real shot. So I'm stalking him, stop, right? And fire. Because, you know, if you're not quick on the feet and you get stung a lot from the outside, now that's gonna greatly lessen my ability to go get him. If I'm scared of him, if he's too quick for me, he's gonna blast me, I can't chase him down, right? I gotta be able to move and go get him. It's just a really simple drill, but it's something really effective, okay? It's just follow, stop, right there, okay? Now obviously you can kind of increase the intensity there. You can make it a live drill. You can make him move a little faster backwards, where I have to chase him more. It makes good habits, keep my hands down. So those are two really important drills, that motion right there. Okay, so, stalking. Now what do I say? Camera, you gotta get ready to follow me, okay? Just keep moving backwards. And maybe go in a circle so we're not going too crazy, right? But if I'm stalking, keep moving backwards. Keep moving backwards, go backwards. Right, we'll do this, because I'll say, one guy's stalking the other guy. Okay, and at some point the kids will inevitably say like, I can't catch him. Some crap like that, right? But I say, well, hey, in a real wrestling match, how long can you do that for? In a real wrestling match, how long can he actually go backwards for? Guys, this rule in wrestling, I don't know if you guys know about it, it's called stalling. He can't do that. He can't do it, right? He can go, what? He can go backwards for, I don't know, what do you think, 10 seconds? 5, 10? He goes back for 20 seconds, just straight back. There's no way he's not getting called for stalling, okay? So if I can stalk him effectively with my hands low, at some point he has to stop and meet me, okay? So at some point he's moving back, at some point he's gotta stop, yep, boom. Then my hands are on, okay? Now, here's the trick. Once my hands are on, I gotta keep my hands on, okay? And with quick guys, this can be difficult. And so another drill, this is the second drill, we'll kind of feed all this together, is I have to put hands on. I'm gonna stand here for right now, right? And ideally probably pulling on it. And now if Pat, well, you try to be Pat, if I wanna snap these off, boom, right? So Pat did a good job there, right? But if Pat, hold on a minute, Pat. Right? That's not a good scenario, right? So if I wanna put pressure on, but if I hold on too tight, then it's gonna use against me, right? He's gonna use my pressure to snap me off, and then he's gonna drag or whatever, okay? So I wanna be able to put my hands on him. When he snaps, boom, right there. Okay, now, so I'm gonna release, where I'm not getting myself off balance though, and then I gotta step to him, right? Because the other bad thing that can happen here, he snaps me off and he gets some distance. Boom, right there. Because now we talked about, the hardest part is this, bridging this gap, right? That's the hardest part for people who are slow of foot. Now I gotta do this again. So I always think about, okay, if I can get my hands on once, it was a 2-minute high school period, right? If I can get my hands on once, and I can keep my hands on it, okay? I only do that once. If every 5 seconds he's clearing my hands, I'm gonna have to do that thing 24 times in one period. The hardest part, I have to do the hardest part 24 times in one period. Okay? So I get my hands on him, he snaps off and clears, and now I gotta go get him again. But he's gonna have so many opportunities to sting me from the outside, okay? But watch it, if he snaps it off, and I'm right, look how close I am, right? Because I was able to stay on balance, he wasn't able to off balance me. Let's go super slick, he snaps it off, boom, right away, right? And I never gave him space. I didn't give him 2 or 3 steps and then try to get him. The second he stepped, I stepped right back to him. And so, learning to not be off balance when you get snapped off. And then number 2, learning to just continue to stalk your opponent in a patient way like that. That is going to be really, really, really key for you guys to keep your hands on them and keep wearing them out with your hand fight. So we talked about footwork, talked about getting connected, talked about staying connected. Okay, so now our hands are solidly on them. And how do we, right, if we're to guess, how do we make them use as much energy as possible in order so I can gas them out? That's the whole point of this DVD, right? We want to get them tired so they become less effective as the match goes on. Okay, and so the best way to do that is to get them to react to me. Now, obviously, this is going to be beneficial 2 ways, right? If you can only get them to react to you, that's going to be hugely beneficial for your offense also, right? We said we're going to wait on our offense. Maybe shoot once early, see how it goes. And if he's stuffing you, maybe we hold back on the shots for a little bit. But when I get my hands on it, boom. I think the most effective for a person who's trying to get someone out is a rear hand bicep tie. So this is my trail leg, right? My rear leg. I'm on the bicep here. I can do a bicep where I'm thumb, or sometimes I'll wrap around so I get a little extra pull. I'll kind of transition between both of them. Okay, so from that bicep tie, I have a handful of options, none of which are all that complex, right? So I have snap the head, I have fake this leg, I have fake this leg, I have a pull, I have an elbow off potentially right there. Okay, and then maybe like a reverse wrist, boom. Okay, so I really just want to keep him moving and reacting, because if he's reacting to me, he's going to be taking a lot more energy than necessary. And then, like I said, it's going to have 2 effects, because I'm going to start seeing the patterns as the match goes on, and I'm going to start being able to find the offense off of those patterns, right? So it's boom, boom, boom. Right, so this, I don't need to do this for an hour. You guys get the point, right? Pat's gonna guess out too. And we look at one of the best all time of this. Who do you guys think the best all time is? I'll give you 2 seconds. I think it's David Taylor, right? He is so freaking good at hands-on, move, and finding his attacks. And like you think like his Yazdani matches, he gassed him out. A lot of those he gassed him out because he had the ability to move him around. And that's kind of been the case for some of his other matches. And you watch the one person he couldn't really gas out, and it was a concept we've talked about. We're talking about 2 of the best guys in the world, but J'den Cox, right? Because J'den Cox's movement was really elite, and he had a hard time kind of tracking him down, really getting his hands on him and pushing and pulling him and get him to react. So it's a really great example, kind of 2 ideas. But once we get our hands on him, we got to get guys to react to us. So this is it's just something, a couple things. You need to emphasize it when drilling, right? Drilling where we're not moving them, where I go, right? That's no good. So pretty much, maybe with your baby kids, maybe your really tiny kids, that's fine, right? With high school kids, I can't just grab him and shoot, right? I got to get hands on, snap, push, pull, look for the openings, right? I do have a partner who's moving with me, boom, right? And they're moving with me, and I'm finding the openings, and I'm shooting, and I'm learning how to make him react to me, okay? So let me just end this. I'll end this segment with a drill that I do, and it's really good because with the wearing people out, sometimes in practice we're not doing a ton of really long goes. We're not doing 30-minute goes, right? And when you become really efficient, you can absolutely wear someone out in 6 minutes, but sometimes in like a 2-minute go, it's almost impossible to see for the high school to pick up on
oh, this guy's getting tired. If I just keep going, I'm gonna get a really positive effect out of this, okay? So one of the things I do sometimes is we call it the lava game. Max loves this one too. So it's a game that's about positioning, but it also gives you the ability to make someone feel really tired, and so you're gonna pick up on your own efforts, right? That's a big one for kids is if you're not seeing the fruits of your labors, you're not gonna understand like what I'm doing is really good. Okay, so lava game, really simple. Okay, if I pick Pat's leg up, that's a point. If I get Pat to touch the mat, that's a point. That's the whole game. That's it, right? So we're gonna pretty much engage in a hand fight battle and usually make it some type of long, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. So they really just gotta get in here and they gotta battle. And this is where like, in this game, you can't spend a lot of time in a scramble. It's impossible, right? Because you're either picking up his leg or you're pulling him down. There's no scrambling at all, right? And if we have like longer, just to say open, wrestle, ready, go, they're gonna find themselves spending a lot of time in top-bottom position or scrambles or other things. So that's a great drill, the lava game, to feel the hand fight, because sometimes it is tough for kids to perceive the ability to make someone else tired through the hand fight if they're not going for longer periods of time where they're really seeing it. So we need to make our opponents react to us. That's one thing that's gonna make them really tired as the match goes on. All right, so not getting stuck underneath. And I kind of brought this up in the beginning where I said like if I'm overshooting and he's just sprawling on me, I'm not gonna get him tired because sprawling's not that hard, right? It's not that much energy expenditure. So a big part of when we start shooting, and like I said, a lot of times, again, this is for everybody. I explained that at the beginning, but this is probably more for us slow twitch folks. Yes, I'm part of your clan, slow twitch folks. I'm probably gonna not start shooting right away. It's gonna be 60 seconds, 90 seconds. I can feel people wearing out. Right? I've done it sometimes where I can feel them slowing down. I can start seeing the openings. But even once I start doing that, there's no guarantee that I'm gonna get to his leg every time. Right? And so when I start shooting, I find myself getting stuck underneath for really, really long periods of time. I'm gonna pretty much stop this process, right? And I've seen this with, we'll say, there's some high school kids who just where they have a good gas tank, but they literally wear themselves out because they just keep getting stuck underneath. Okay, so not getting stuck underneath. So let me just, a few things you need to get good at if you want to wear people out. A big one on my head inside single, okay, is have the ability to go to my seatbelt, right? So I shoot here, he sprawls. Okay, sprawl a little more, Pat. He's sliding off. If I next thing he's gonna do is go to a front headlock. Boom, right, or man this position. So I'm here, boom, I'm going here, right? And now I'm putting him back in a position where he's really got to battle, right? He can't just kind of chill out and wait this one out, right? I can attack here, I can attack here, I can start coming back to my feet. Like, he really is gonna have to work there. I'm not getting stuck underneath. And then the other obvious one would be for headlock defense, right? And this is where, if you're gonna be a volume shooter and you don't have good for headlock defense, you're kind of a moron. Okay, if you're gonna shoot a lot, you're gonna get caught for headlock sometimes, and you gotta be able to defend for headlock. So, right, I get shot, boom, I shoot, he stuffs me, boom, get an elbow, right, circle up, and now again, we're in a position where I'm not stuck underneath, and now he's gonna start working. You have to start working immediately, right? And that was, again, once I get good at those two, you know what? Holy moly, it's 2023. I'm gonna have to add in some down block, go behind defense too. I'm gonna show you, it's really tricky, I'm gonna show it to you. You guys are gonna love it. But if I can hustle back to my feet like that, the other thing I can do is now I can be a volume attacker, right? Because I'm not wasting any time underneath. So I shot it, I didn't get it, I back up. I'm attacking him again. I shot underneath, I didn't get it, I'm back up, I'm attacking again. And I just keep kind of attacking him, right? And then he's gonna be like, oh man, this guy's never gonna relent. He's gonna keep shooting because I can't even get him stuck underneath me. Okay, let's go down block, go behind defense. So, I mentioned this in the SEAL DVD at the very, very end. I'll kind of talk about it a little more in depth right now. So this will probably be more on head outside than the inside. We'll say I shoot a high cross and I miss. Boom, here, I'm rotating up, I'm pulling this in, and I'm attacking this hand right here, right? Boom, boom, and now, yep, so face, take my underhook, hey, I didn't get stuck underneath, right? I didn't get stuck underneath, or I didn't get scored on back in the game. Okay, so watch it. Actually, without him, this motion is kind of awkward, right? I shoot in, I realize, oh crap, my shot wasn't good enough. I'm gonna get down block, go behind, rotating in, sealing here, okay? Kind of weird, right? Because this leg's back on this one. And I can either go shell, right? Or I can attack hand and start fighting out. So watch it one more time. Right? Boom, right there. Right there. Okay? So I get sprawled on, I get headlocked, I get down while go behind. I'm not getting stuck underneath. If you're getting stuck underneath a lot, you probably need to lessen your shots, but also on the longer term, you need to get better at your ability to get out from underneath, because if you want to wrestle with a good gas tank and you're getting caught underneath, you're probably not going to be that effective. This is really important, and this is such an infuriating thing when kids mess this up. So kids, pay attention. Don't mess this up. Okay, there's nothing worse than Pat is so exhausted. I'm coming back on him. I took him down twice, and he dives back in my leg because I cut him wrong, right? So he's taken down, he's tired, he's pouting, and I do like this, and then he grabs my leg. Then you waste like 45 seconds in that shenanigans, right? So how do I effectively cut someone? I got the takedown now. Okay, so first, where's he gonna grab? He's gonna grab me with this arm, right? So usually I'll go here, I'll block it, I'll come up, and then I'll go like this. Okay, so he can't get me with this arm. He can't really turn into me because I'm blocking, right? Yep, and I'm continuing to put pressure kind of on his head. Now, come on, back it up, you're stalling. Boom, there. And the last time from here, right? I told you the tie I wanted was a bicep tie. So now he's up, boom. I have my bicep tie, and now, right, now I can start going right back into him. Okay, so watch that one more time. Don't mess this up. Okay, so from top, if I'm on this side, this is how he's gonna grab me. Boom, right there. Boom, okay, hands on. So, guys, as a coach, there's nothing more infuriating when my guy's doing a good job coming back and they mess up cutting the person. Do not mess that up. That's how to do it effectively and efficiently. Make sure you get that right. I'm gonna show a couple things here, but I guess it's kind of philosophical also. If you suck on bottom, it's really hard to gas someone out. There's been one match in the history of wrestling, which I'm not so sure I believe or not. Thomas Gilman alleged he gassed Ethan Lezak from bottom. Besides that, no one's ever gassed anyone from bottom. So if you can't get up, you're probably not going to gas anyone out. So one of the things I really recommend for people, and actually we're going to use a lot of shell. I did the seal or shell defense, bottom position, is having the ability, like if I get taken down, popping up right away. Because then, you know, sometimes if he can take me down and ride me for a while, he's feeling, oh yes, dude, I'm getting tired, but so what? If I get on top, I can spend a minute on top, right? If he gets a takedown and I pop up in 3 seconds, he's like, oh my God, what am I gonna do now? I'm so tired. And I gotta take it, he's got him in 3 seconds. Okay, so let me show you a couple here. So first one would be like a double leg finish, right? So if he double leg, boom, I can take it down, right? It'll be right away, I'm just gonna slide this elbow like in the crook of his neck. Okay, so just right down there. There. Now, obviously, in folk style wrestling, he can't just sit there forever, right? So he's got to build up, and the second he starts building up, boom, right? And now I got my seal in. I'll just rotate so you guys can see. My seal's in, right? That's from the seal DVD. Boom, right? Boom, and now I'm back on my feet. You got a takedown, but I'm back up in 3 seconds. He's like, oh, damn it. I was gonna stay on top for a while, right? So he hits maybe a single leg, he cuts the corner. Boom, I get taken down. Boom, boom. Oh, my seal's in right away. Boom, right back to my feet. Same thing, right? Maybe it's maybe snap down, go behind. Snap down, boom, right away. Boom. Right, seal's in. So like right at the acknowledgement of, damn, I got taken down. Not gonna sit and cry about it. I'm gonna do something to escape right away. Versus, like, I'll show you the flip side of it. Here's the flip side of it. Yeah, let's do the last one. Snap down, go. Oh, right? And now he's gonna just crunch me, and I'm gonna be down here for a minute. And now there's no way I'm gassing him out. Okay?
So I don't even know. I don't even think that's like really a move set. More as like beacon on bottom, and then transition wise. The second we're getting taken down, we're not sitting and crying and pouting about how he's got taken down. We're having the ability to get right back up. Right? We go right to our seal, shoving our elbow in, turning down, popping up, getting back to our feet. Because I can tell you, even if they take you down a few times, if you're getting up within a couple seconds, man, they're gonna start getting nervous, right? Because they're like, this dude is not gonna stop coming at me, and I'm like honey badger on him. And then that'll go into, you know, another concept we talked about in the beginning is, well, if you're really dangerous and you have the ability to pin him, it doesn't really matter if he's winning by a bunch, because you can score a lot of points easily and you can pin him, right? So he's never actually really safe within a match. Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about from a technical standpoint would be when we're getting taken down, we're not going to cry and pout. We're going to transition immediately into escape. So we're popping up so our opponent is not getting any rest. Hands right back on and push, pull. Gas them out, get them tired. All right, guys, that was the art of gassing someone out. I can tell you from my wrestling career, it was hugely impactful. I started out as that being my biggest weapon at the beginning of my career, to that being one of the many weapons I was used later in my career. I can tell you it gave me a lot of confidence knowing that as the match went on, I was going to continually get better against my opponent. So, hope you liked it. Thank you, Pat. Pat, let them know where they can find you.
Patrick_Spray on Instagram. That's my primary. And then come check out AWA Madison Advance. All right.
All right, guys, thanks. Hope you guys enjoyed all the content.